When considering photographs, John Zarkowski, photographer, curator, historian, and former director of the photography department at the Museum of Modern Art, has noted that photographs function on three levels: the physical level, the depictive level, and the mental level. The physical level considers the works as physical objects. Are they on paper, plastic, metal bases coated with light-sensitive emulsion of metallic salts or metallic salts and colored dyes? Are they on a screen or a billboard? On a physical level, with paper or films, the emulsion developer and light source used will control how many shades of gray there are and how they are compressed or separated. So this is referring to the tonal range. On a chemical level, the type of emulsion determines the tonal range and hues. As a physical object, the context in which a viewer sees the photograph will affect the meaning a viewer draws from it. If the photograph is published in a book or a magazine, that is perceived differently than if it is seen as a framed object, or if it's like the image that we saw here of Frederick Douglass, that's a daguerreotype that is presented as this precious object. We view these things differently because of the physical nature of the object. So the second level is the depictive level. Flatness, frame, stop time, and focus are four things that a photograph has that the physical world does not. Flatness. The world is three-dimensional and the photo is two-dimensional. A photo can show an illusion of space, and it creates a relationship between subjects in the foreground and subjects in the background which might not have existed before. For example, the light on the pole looks as if it is hooded by the triangular window in this image. Also, if a photographer changes a vantage point, then the relationships between the images can change. That is the decision that the photographer makes while he or she composes the image, as in this photo by William Eggleston. The fact that the tricycle is so dominant and looks much larger than the house is what makes this photograph interesting, but that all has to do with the point of view and the way that the photographer has chosen to make this image. In terms of framing, unlike the world, a photograph has edges. How the work is cropped and frames definitely adds to the meaning of the work. This is the work by Dorothea Lange that has become very, very popular. It is shown in many US history textbooks when it's referring to the Great Depression. Lange made many other photographs while she was in California of the same woman and children. It is the way in which she has framed this work that makes it um, as powerful as it is. Time. Susan Sontag, in her seminal work on photography, which was published in 1977, stated that, quote, "The force of a photograph is that it keeps open to scrutiny instances which the normal flow of time immediately replaces," unquote. So still photographs are static, but life isn't. For example, in this image, we see Ansel Adams working in his darkroom. He's moving, so he doesn't stay this way forever, but a photograph freezes time. But time can be shown passing through blurs. So in the first instance we have here, the architecture is stable, whereas the woman is moving. In the second image, the gentleman is seated and he is not moving while the world is moving around him. And like in this image, with having a fast exposure, the image can remain crisp. This is a drop of milk as it hits a plate. So it is because of the very nature of photography, the photograph can see what the eye cannot. Focus is another thing that, again, photographs have, but the real world does not. So, in terms of focus, it helps to create an order of importance. When we have a shallow depth of field, when you're focusing on something that's up close, the background becomes blurred, and that makes us concentrate on that thing that's in the foreground. On the other hand, if you have a wide depth of field like Ansel Adams used, it is giving everything the same equal importance, because for Adams, the entirety of nature was what was important, not just one element within it. And then, along with the physical level, so the objectness of the work, the depictive level, then there is the mental level. And this is kind of a crucial level for what we are talking about in this class. It's, what does the work mean? So the photograph has content, so the subject matter is what is shown. Iconography is the symbolism that's there, and sometimes they will have metaphor to them. So looking at this work by Tina Modotti, we can see that the subject matter is a sombrero, a hammer, and a sickle. Those three objects. In terms of reading the iconography or symbol for this, we can read these as symbols of communism, that the hammer and sickle are symbols of the industrial worker and the farm worker. And then she combines them with the sombrero, so she's also talking about Mexico here. So that would be how we could read the meaning of this work. Because these are symbolic objects, it has a underlying meaning to why she has chosen to use those. Now, in some cases, the artist will choose to use objects and it is purely just on face level for what they are, or they will choose to use those objects because of the formal elements which they are interested in creating. So that is fine too, but other ones use iconography, such as the one we're looking at here. So for your discussion post this week, I would like you to consider this work by Gertrude Casebeer and answer those questions for me, just so that I know that you're understanding what I mean, what the difference is between the subject matter and then the content or the meaning of the work.